is a quiet morning in the village of Umogo. A young woman named Amara is on her knees in an overgrown bush behind her old family house. Her clothes are dirty. Tears are mixing with sweat on her face. Her hands are digging in the soil. Suddenly, her fingers touch something hard. She pulls it out. It is a small clay pot, sealed shut. Her heart is pounding like a drum. This pot was left by her mother, who passed away years ago. With shaky hands, Amara opens it. Inside is a single, folded letter. As she reads the first line, her eyes grow wide with shock. The letter says, "My dear Amara, if you are reading this, then everything that needed to break has broken." Just then, a shadow falls over her. She looks up. Standing there is her old enemy, Chinyere, with a crowd of villagers behind her. Chinyere's voice is cold and loud. "Whatever treasure your mother hid, it belongs to the whole family. Hand it over." Amara clutches the pot to her chest. What is in this letter? Why is everyone suddenly here? And how will she protect her mother's last secret? Hello, welcome to Echoes of the Baobab Tree. Kindly like, share and subscribe to keep our inner circles. Now, let us rewind the clock. Let us go back to where the trouble began. Our story starts not in the village, but in the big, busy city of Lagos. It was March 15th. Amara, a beautiful 28-year-old woman with kind eyes and long braids, was happy. She had a small but successful tailor shop in the Mushi market. She also had a fiancé named Tond. She believed she was living her dream. On that afternoon, Tond came to her shop. He would not look her in the eyes. "Amara," he said, "I cannot marry you. Your life is too hard. I need someone with less problems." Amara felt like she had been slapped. She had helped Tond so much. She had even paid for his school fees. She was so stunned she could not speak. She just watched him walk away, feeling her heart crack into pieces. For the next week, Amara felt like a shadow. She went to her shop, but her smile was gone. She kept hoping Tond would call. Her friends tried to cheer her up, but a deep sadness sat in her stomach. This was a low, painful time. Then, disaster struck again. On March 25th, at 4 a.m., Amara's phone rang loudly. It was a neighbor, screaming, "Fire! Amara, your shop is on fire." She ran outside. The sky was orange. Her beautiful shop, with all the lovely fabrics and the sewing machines she worked so hard for, was swallowed by huge, roaring flames. She fell to her knees on the dusty road and cried. Everything was gone. All her hard work for 10 years turned to smoke in one night. The days after the fire were so confusing. The police asked many questions but had no answers. Amara had no money coming in. She became very afraid. How would she pay her rent? How would she eat? She felt alone and scared. The worst blow came on the morning of March 31st. Amara's landlord, Mr. Ade, came with 2 stern-looking policemen. "You must leave today, Amara," Mr. Ade said, pointing at her. "You have no money. Pack your things and go." Amara had no strength to argue. With a heavy heart, she put all her remaining clothes into one big travel bag, the kind we call Ghana Must Go. It was the only bag she had left. As she walked out of the building where she lived, people she used to greet every day looked away. Some whispered where she could hear them. "See her pride. Lagos has shown her her level." Their words hurt more than the fire. Amara kept her head down, her cheeks burning with shame. At the busy roadside, she tried to stop a yellow tricycle, a Kiki. The driver looked at her dirty clothes and empty bag and sped past her. It did not stop. It happened again. And again. Amara felt invisible, like the city itself was pushing her out. She finally found a bus going to the long-distance park. On the bus, Amara stared out the window. The tall buildings of Lagos were fading away. She felt a strange feeling in her chest. It was a pull, like a soft rope tied to her heart, pulling her toward a place she hated, her home village, Umuogo. She had run from that village 8 years ago, promising never to return unless she was rich and successful. Now, she was going back with nothing. She closed her eyes and a tear escaped. God, she whispered, is this the end for me? Suddenly, an old woman sitting next to her, a complete stranger, spoke in a gentle, calm voice. Your pain is not a punishment, child. It is a direction. It is leading you home for a reason. Amara jumped in her seat. How did this woman know what she was thinking? Before Amara could ask, the old woman turned back to the window, silent. Amara's whole body felt cold. Something very strange was happening. This was not just a normal journey. Something was waiting for her in Umuogo. The crowd pressed closer, their eyes fixed on the small clay pot in Amara's hands. Chinya's hand was outstretched, demanding. Amara's heart hammered against her ribs. But then, she remembered her mother's face, calm and full of love. She took a deep, shaky breath. It is not money, Amara said, her voice finding strength. It is a letter. From my mother. A murmur of disbelief rippled through the crowd. Lies. Chinya snapped. You just want to keep the family wealth for yourself. Amara knew words were not enough. She carefully took the folded paper from the pot. With everyone watching, she began to read her mother's words aloud. My child, if you are reading this, then the world has been unkind. You have lost much. But you have not lost your way. Your way is here, in this soil. Your blessing will grow from what you plant with your own hands, not from what you find in the ground. The villagers listened, their anger fading into confusion. There was no mention of gold or cash. Amara finished the last line, trust the land. It remembers my prayers. She looked up, tears in her eyes. Chinya was quiet for a moment, then scoffed. So, no treasure. Just stories and dirt. Then you are even more foolish than I thought. She turned and walked away, some of the crowd following her, shaking their heads. Amara was left alone, holding the letter. She felt a deep disappointment. Part of her heart hoped for a miracle solution too. But as she looked at the overgrown land, the words, your blessing will grow, echoed in her heart. She made a decision. She would trust her mother. She found her father's old hoe, its handle smooth from years of use. With a determined sigh, she swung it into the dense grass, beginning to clear a small patch. The next few days were hard, lonely work. Her muscles ached. The sun was hot. People like Chinya would walk past and make jokes. Look at the Lagos big woman playing farmer, they would say. Amara kept her head down, walking in silence. It was a low, exhausting time. She planted the first seeds, ugu and tomatoes, with a worried heart, wondering if anything would even sprout. A week later, a surprising thing happened. A young man named Chuka, whom she barely remembered from childhood, came to the farm. He carried his own hoe. My mother said your mother was a very good woman, he said shyly. I have some time. I can help you clear more land. Amara was so surprised by this kindness that she could only nod. Chuka worked beside her that entire afternoon without asking for anything. Then, something miraculous happened. Just 3 days after planting, bright green leaves pushed through the soil. In a week, the plants were strong and full, much bigger and healthier than any in the village. News spread like wildfire. Villagers came to stare in disbelief at the thriving garden. Whispers of juju and magic began, but Amara just tended her plants, her own heart blooming with wonder. Chinya came to see with her own eyes. She stood at the edge of the flourishing farm, her mouth open. Her own crops were weak and struggling. Jealousy burned in her eyes, but so did a desperate need. One evening, she came to Amara's door, her proud head finally bowed. "Amara," she whispered, "my children are hungry. My farm, nothing is growing. Can you spare some vegetables?" This was a huge moment. The person who caused so much pain was now asking for help. Amara looked at Chinya's tired, worried face. She felt no anger, only pity. "Wait here," she said softly. She went to her farm and returned with a big basket full of fresh, green ugu and ripe tomatoes. She placed it in Chinya's hands. "Take it. For your children." Chinya began to cry, her tears of shame mixing with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. "I am so sorry." The next day, Amara called the whole village together. She stood before them with Chuka by her side. "My mother's letter was right," she announced. "The treasure is the land itself. But it is not just for me. I will show anyone who wants to learn how I care for the soil. We can grow more food together. We can help each other." The villagers cheered. Amara saw her future not in Lagos, but here, in this village she once hated, surrounded by a community she was now helping to feed. She smiled, a real, warm smile for the first time in months. She was finally home. This is the end of Amara's story. All of her struggles in Lagos got her nothing. That's home calling for her to become a success. Hope you like this story. Kindly share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. See you later. Bye.